I'm ready. Go right ahead, man.
Gotcha. Okay. So, for the audience, for people who are going to be looking at this in the very near future, I got on the line with me right now a friend of mine. I can say that. Somebody I've been knowing for a very long time. I don't even want to say how long we've been knowing each other. It's a while, right? It's definitely more than 20 years, right? But this young man, and like I say, he's a young man because you definitely, I know how old you are, and you definitely don't look nowhere close to that. But who I got right now is a friend of mine, Dr. Michael Taylor. So, Dr. Taylor, first of all, thank you for coming on, especially on this holiday, Memorial Day. So I appreciate you taking out the time. I've been wanting to. I have a list, man. I have a checklist of people who I really want to interview, and you're on that list. Matter of fact, hold on one second. I want to see where you at on this list. Hold up. Can you see this list?
I, no, I can't. I
Oh, hold
can't
on. Let
see
me
it.
see if I can get to the camera. Because you may not believe me. You're number one on the list. You're at the top.
I
And
feel honored, brother.
oh, okay, yeah, that's because I got the AI on because of my background. If I take my background out, I could show it to you. Matter of fact, let me. No, that's I'll leave it alone. I'll show it to you in person. But you're actually at the top of the list, and it's about 25, 30 people on that list.
I feel
Okay.
honored, my brother.
Yeah, man. So how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, man. I've been looking forward to this interview ever since you called me just a few weeks ago. And I know we've been trying to coordinate the times that we could do this interview, and hopefully it won't be the last time that you have me on.
No, I like if you would be willing to, I would like to have a reoccurring, especially with the field you're in and information you have, as a reoccurring guest because I mean I know you, so I know that there's no end to the information that you give, especially on this subject of health, right? And I was just talking about you the other day when I was at the track working out, and I was telling a young lady about how you helped me out with my problem, and hopefully we could kind of touch on that also. But the first thing I kind of wanted to do is I kind of wanted to just, if you would, just tell people who you are. Like for example, like you didn't originate here in Shreveport. You're from somewhere else, but you got here, and I'm wondering how did you get here, and where did you come from, and what made you end up here?
That's a good question. My name is Michael Taylor. I'm a chiropractic physician, and I'm a certified medical examiner with the U.S. Department of Transportation. That designation gives me the authorization to examine and certify truck drivers, bus drivers, class 3 pilots, and eventually that will move into even a scuba diver, pre-employment physicals, and the like. I'm 60 years old. I've been here in Shreveport since 1990. I was a chemistry major at an HBCU in Huntsville, Alabama. And then in 1985, I matriculated to Cleveland Chiropractic University in Kansas City, Missouri. And when I went through the accelerated program, and once I finished that, rather than going 4 years of chiropractic college on top of the 4 years toward my chemistry degree, then I went to Cleveland Chiropractic College or University, graduated in '88, and moved to New Orleans. And a practice came up for sale 2 years later here in Shreveport, Louisiana. So I've been at my present location at North Market Chiropractic Clinic here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I'm the first African American doctor of chiropractic medicine to actually practice, Brother Lewis, as I so affectionately call you. I'm the first
Mm-hmm.
one to survive more than a year because it was a very difficult road for me. And so I've been here, and I got to meet you early on in the early '90s when you drove that Nissan Pathfinder that a mutual friend of ours really still admires. And so
Yeah.
Been a lifelong relationship, brother.
Well, look, the one of the reasons you have to be reoccurring is because we got so many stories, so much, has went on in the years. I mean, there's a lot. And so what I want to do is I want to try to get to as much as I can because I know a lot of your information. But let me tell you something I didn't know. You just said you were 60, right?
Yes.
I thought you and I were exactly the same age.
Yeah, so you have to respect your elders.
I didn't know that, man. I didn't know it. Hey, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Well,
Hopefully.
Brother Lewis, black don't crack, bro.
Hey, man, you know what? I really appreciate people when they tell me they're like, you look like you're in your 40s. I appreciate that, and I'm not going to argue with them.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, if they're trying to compliment me, I accept the compliment. So yeah, brother, you don't look nowhere close to 60.
Likewise, man. Thank you for the kudos, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Hey, so let me ask you this, because I'm really curious about some of your past. But one of the things I don't want to miss and I don't want to breeze past is the fact that, first of all, what's your address on North Market?
1850 Nelson Street, Suite D as in David, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. And that phone number is area code 318-222-6601. And we do have a website. It's www.thepeoples, that's plural, the People's Doctor with a K rather than a C, www.thepeoplesdoctor.com.
What about Instagram, Facebook? Do you can
yes,
they reach you there?
I'm not ashamed to say this. Anyone is welcome on my personal Facebook page, which is Mike under Michael Taylor, or under my Facebook profile, business profile, that is, and it's under North Market Chiropractic. So there we are.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm learning to ask those questions early on because sometimes we'll get so into the person, the time runs out, and we forget to, how do we reach you?
Yeah, I just launched a digital radio broadcast with a mutual friend of ours by the name of Elaw, and I just want to give a shout out there. It's www.gsslradio.com, and I'm on every Saturday morning from 11 a.m. EDT or 10 o'clock a.m. CDT, Central Daylight Time, half an hour broadcast, and I deal with marriage and the family in the first 30 minutes, and then we deal with health and wellness in the second half, and that's gsslradio.com. And the name of our broadcast is The People's Doctor.
Gotcha. And hopefully, before we sign off, I'd like for you to go over all of that again.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah. So you speak on relationships or marriage. So I know, but there may be tens of thousands of people who may see this who don't know. But you are married, and how long have you been married?
Well, my first marriage lasted 23 years. It didn't work out, and we addressed that on my broadcast. I'm like you, Brother Lewis. I'm very transparent. What you see is what you get, in the words of the dramatics. I just shoot straight from the hip. I'm honest, John. But my second marriage has lasted now 13 years. I'm married to the former Karen Walker of New Orleans, Louisiana. She's a licensed practical nurse. She's a certified phlebotomist, and she's a certified health coach. Maybe in the future, like on my broadcast, occasionally she comes on as a guest. She has her own story, and the three of us have actually bonded the times that you came in to the clinic. You've been an invaluable asset to our clinic and to our well-being, brother.
I appreciate it, man. And and she, I was able to hear her personally tell me her story, and it's fascinating. It's interesting. It's like a movie, It's it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I can resonate with that because my life has been, a reflection of that also. But that's what made me who I am today. So I have no regrets. Zero. I was just talking to a friend of ours today, Daryl McDay, and I was telling him the same thing. You know, I have no regrets. There's nothing. And matter of fact, we was talking about marriages. And I was just telling him, you know, I have nothing that I regret from my first or second marriage. And I don't have no ill will toward neither one of those ladies. Matter of fact, I still talk to both of them on a regular basis. You know, we still play, joke around, flirt, you know, the whole nine, you know. So yeah, you know, so we have a great relationship, you know.
And this is
But
something, this is just my own observation. It may not be ubiquitous, or it may not be everywhere, but in the African American community, too many dissolved relationships, as far as marriage are concerned, don't know how to be mature enough to remain friends after the dissolution of the marriage. And I think that's a travesty, because that's why it's so important. And I don't want to get off the beaten trail, but that's why it's so important when you enter the covenant of marriage that you are enter as friends first before you become lovers. You want to build a foundation as friendships. And I admire you that you're still friends with your exes, because I'm friends with my ex-wife, and I try to remain friends every day with my present wife. Friendship is the key. It's the building block of all relationships.
yeah. That's important, man. It really is. And people, I think, really need to hear that because, you know, and I'm like you, I don't want to get off the beaten path, but what'll keep me on the beaten path is I got some notes in front of me. So I know where I'm supposed to be, but you just touch on things, and I knew it was going to go this way. That's why I say you have to be reoccurring, right? But I just wanted to say this real quick. I was able to release a lot when I was able to take personal responsibility for my life.
Exactly.
Before then, it was everybody else doing something to me. You know, like I said, it was my ex-wife, it was my ex-girl, it was my ex-boss, it was whatever, the man in the street, the guy at the convenience store. It was somebody. Now I look at life so differently because I was talking to another friend of ours today, John Freeman, and I was just telling him, you know, I can go back and any problem that I have, I can go back and the root of that problem is going to be me, right? It started right there. And I told Daryl that today. Anything that's in my way, the biggest problem that stands in my way today is me, right? So when I'm able to take on personal responsibility, then it's a lot easier for me because I don't have to blame nobody else. You know, I'm comfortable with that. Now, that's going to be hard for people because it was hard for me, you know. But, you know, one of the good things that I can say is all these years, man, you and I have had tens of thousands of hours of conversation, you would say?
Yes.
You know,
And you know, in 2001, you introduced me to an author by the name of Brian Tracy. He was a high school dropout, moved to California, and procured his master's in business administration. Now he's a global, international motivational speaker. And he wrote a book called Maximum Achievement. And in that book, he gives the charge: stop playing the victim and stop blaming others. He says, if it is to be, it's up to me, and no one's coming to the rescue. What I really want to charge, especially the males, and if I may say this, the Black male in the United States, stop blaming oppression as to be the reason why you are where you are. Stop blaming your mom. Stop blaming your dad. Stop blaming your exes. Stop blaming the economy. Stop, like Michael Jackson said, look at the man in the mirror. And that's what I had to do. When I looked at the man in the mirror, I realized the words of Brian Tracy. If it is to be, it's up to me, and no one's coming to the rescue.
Man, you know, first of all, let me say this here. You know, when we talked, I think, was it yesterday we talked about doing this today?
Yeah.
And we said like 30 minutes, right? Would be the time. Now we already 20 minutes in. And I haven't asked 2 of the 10 questions yet. That's why I know, like, I'll tell you, man, time goes by real fast because you already touched on something I want to talk about. But I know if I do, that'll prolong it and I'll never get to these other questions. Right? But I'm just going to say this here and I'll make it real quick. You said something like stop blaming your parents, your mother, and stuff like that. I had to get through that too. You know, one of the things I had to realize, because my story is a long story and I don't want to get into it. But one of the things I had to realize is my mother had me when she was like 19. And I'm thinking, like, what 19-year-old is mature enough in their mind to even, have a baby? And I was her third baby. So that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about it maybe on your show or when you come back here. But this is something I don't want to breeze by. That building that you're in, right? You've been in that building for a while, but the difference now is you own the building.
Yes, sir.
Or you see what I'm saying? But you started off as a tenant and became an owner, right? And that's really important for people to hear about somebody that looks like us owning commercial real estate in this city, because there's not a lot of us. You got Ricky Hall right up the street. Now our friend John Freeman, he owns 2 commercial buildings. I can't think of nobody else right off the top of my head. Well, Mandy Burns. Mandy owns 2 daycares. So that would be the same thing. And that might be it that I can think of. You may know of other people, but I think that that's an accomplishment, a big accomplishment, to start off as a tenant and end up as the owner.
I would imagine, I think based on data, if we can use the term, African Americans own only 1 to 3% of the real estate in America. That's a caveat. 1 to 3% of real estate, commercial real estate, is owned by African Americans. The Saudi Arabia owns 10 to 15% of all the commercial real estate in America, and we only own 1 to 3%.
Did you hear the statistic about African Americans in the very near future? I think by 2030, will have something like a negative net worth.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing.
I can't remember the exact number, but it's whatever it was really bad. And it was either like a negative net worth or like, say, $100 net worth, something like that. It was crazy, right? And I think I heard it maybe on the Breakfast Club or something like that, one of those shows I listened to. But whatever that was saying, because my question to you is, why do you think that as African Americans, we're not focused on, number one, we're not really focused on real estate that much, right? But there are more of us who own residential property, and are landlords and things of that nature. But there are not a lot who own commercial real estate. And why do you think that is?
I think part of it comes from the way we develop our mindset from childhood. Brian Tracy talks about that. I can't help but you introduced me to this man, this wonderful man. And in his book, Maximum Achievement, he says that we are what we were unless we make new choices. We are what we were growing up unless we choose to make new choices. And those new choices may not always be the right choices, but they need to be new choices. And so when we grew up often in a single parent home, and our mother, typically 7 out of 10 Black homes, there is no father. In Harlem, 8 out of 10, there's no Black home. We grew up in a single parent home. Often our mothers rented. Often they did not own the home. Then we may go to college. Black females go to college more than we do. We grow up, we go to the military, maybe we get a job, or we do something, we get into vice and slinging drugs and other things in the community. So outside of slinging drugs, often we do not embrace the entrepreneurial mindset. And even when we begin to adapt it, often we confine ourselves to owning our individual home. But we don't expand our base, our knowledge, recognizing that we can also own commercial real estate. That's what happened in Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is 69 miles south of the city I grew up in, Coffeyville, Kansas. We all know the story. It's on YouTube. Many documentaries have been done on it. You can Google it. And that's we had this thriving African American sector within Tulsa where they own banks, they own businesses,
Mm-hmm.
not just a laundromat. They own commercial real estate. They own businesses, and the dollar circulated within the African American community. Today, it barely circulates one time, and that's typically the church. And once the church treasurer deposits those money, there it has been siphoned out of the African American community and circulated into society, sometime rarely coming back to the African American community. So it's our mindset. It's our mindset. You are what you think, Brian Tracy said, most of the time. So if you think I am an employee, that's how you will think. If you think I will always work for somebody else, that's what you will achieve. In his book, Maximum Achievement, we have to redirect our thinking.
You know, we're influenced a lot by our parents. You know, if we were to do a pie chart, I would say half of the pie chart would be our parents, you know. But then we're also influenced, like you say, by the church, by our friends, by our coworkers. And one of the things, you know, because I'm in real estate for the most, I'm in a few things, but real estate is one of them. And that was because my mother was in real estate. So when we see our people, you know, coming up, a lot of times they're just following in footsteps. You know, like a lot of times people get a degree in something just to have the degree, but not actually execute it once they get the degree. You know, but they still feel like they've accomplished something only because they got the degree. You know, I was 22 working at this hospital. I started off as assistant director of security and became a director by 25. But just think of that, 22 years old, I'm the assistant director of security at a hospital. I'm a high school dropout, right? I went to the military, but still I dropped out of high school. I have no college. And I had 20 some employees, and half of them had degrees and were older than me, you know? But I'm just saying that because maybe what they saw is the direction that they went in. You know, in other words, maybe they saw their parents working, so they said, okay, I get my degree and I get a good job. You know, back then working there, I believe it had benefits and stuff. It was a good job to us. Well, definitely a good job for me, you know. But I think your surroundings, there's a saying, and I know you may have heard this. I can't remember where I got it from, but it says something like, show me your closest 5 friends, and that's who you are. That's who you are, or that's who you're going to be. Yes. So if you just pick out the 5 people that you're closest to and you see what they're into, if you sum that up, that's you, you know, and that's about as far as you're going to go. Right. So, okay. So, I know something I wanted to bring up too, because I haven't asked you about this. Your kids, how many kids, how old? And I know you're going to blow my mind when you tell me, because then I'm going to feel like grandpa. And what direction are they going in specifically due to, I'm pretty sure you're an influence on them.
Yes, not only me. I have a master's degree, a master's of art in biblical study. I have a doctorate in chiropractic medicine. Their mother has 2 bachelor degrees. She has a master's degree in social work, and she's certified as a social worker in the state of Louisiana. So our children, we came up each from the rough side of the mountain. She came up from Chicago. I came up from Coffeyville, Kansas, which most of you never heard of. But my oldest daughter is 34. She has a master's degree in business administration. She's working for Wells Fargo and getting ready to move and work for the federal government. And she works for them for 10 years. They pay off her the balance of her student loans. My second daughter is 7 years younger than her. She's 27. She's a registered nurse, and she works at one of the local hospitals here. I believe it is, the name escapes me, right? Brentwood. Yeah, she works at Brentwood and 1 or 2 nurses. She has 3 jobs, actually. And then my son is studying to become an engineer. He's 23 or 24. You know, once they get 18, you kind of forget their age. They have to compute when they're
same age my son. Okay.
Yeah. And then my youngest daughter's 19. I might add, she's a virgin. She's going to LSUS here, right here in Shreveport, and she's wants to get her PhD in psychology. And we taught our children at very young ages to be the best that they can be, not try to be better than somebody else, just be the best that I can be. And like you and I talked about, Brother Lewis, I want each of my children to go much further than I have gone, much, much
Yeah.
further. And even though I'm working on, I tell my wife, my present wife, we're working on $1 billion corporation. I don't see it yet with my eyes, but I can see it unfolding in reality in time. And Brian Tracy wrote another book called the 100 Absolutely Unbreakable Laws of Success. And he says that, again, he says, what you think of most of the time is what you are becoming.
Mm-hmm.
Children learn that concept. I've talked to them about Brian Tracy over and over, and then Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is a Black author. He said, isn't Napoleon Hill, I think he's African American, correct?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure, but you know what? I am sitting in front of a computer.
Yeah, look that up.
So I can Google it, but I think so.
Yeah,
because
he penned the concept, think and grow rich. And then my friend, the neurosurgeon, Dr. Ben Carson, who I met in person, he said, think big. We are to think big. And in our listening audience, Brother Lewis, if they are subscribed to the Bible as I do, each one has their own belief system or lack, but everybody believes in something. Everybody has a standard of which they judge what is right and what is wrong. I just use the Bible. Another man may use another standard. But in the Bible, it says that ask and it shall be given you. If we go to the right people, like I was asking you yesterday, how can I develop a security company or security company? And you begin to tell me action steps 1, 2, and 3. I thought we were the poorest family in Kansas history. We didn't have cable till I was 12. We didn't have color TV, I don't think, till I was past 18. We never had central air. We finally got central heat, and even it wasn't central heat when I was about, I would say I was about 17 or 18. And we never had a window AC unit. And we would go outside. You remember the old days, we turned the antenna to try to get the Andy I came up the rough side of the mountain, and I was poorer than Job's turkey, and he didn't have any turkeys. I made it, but I couldn't. There's an old expression: "No man is an island unto himself." I could not have made it without other people, and I didn't just say Black people. I needed. I use the word Black sometime for reference, but really, people are people. That you told me a funny story, which may not be apropos on your on your YouTube channel, about the ape or the monkey story and the color of the skin underneath the hair. You may not be.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. That's back when I was doing comedy. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me tell you this real quick. Napoleon Hill. I don't know his exact, background, but he looks Caucasian.
Oh, yeah, it's Caucasian. Okay, my bad. Well, it kind of reminds me on the Montel Williams show, Oprah show several years ago. There was this. He was a downright racist and a white supremacist. And when they did his genealogy, he was 12% Black. So in America, ain't really, to be honest with you, Brother, I've never really seen a Black man. I've seen a dark brown man. You stretch a dark brown man's, what you call blue-black, you stretch his skin, it's dark brown. I've never seen a white man, not even an albino. I've seen pink people. I've seen paper sack people. So we're just people. Could you have gotten where you are, and you've shared with me your accomplishments and your net worth from years ago, and I know you've only built on that. Could you have gotten where you are just because of your own good looks and your own mental prowess?
I really could got where I'm at on my looks by itself. No, I'm just joking. No, man. Yeah. I've had you know my John Turner story. John
Yeah,
Turner, was a big part of my life. Bill Wyndham, big part of my life. Regan Wooten right now, huge part of my life. Matt Hudnall, Adam Johnston, and none of those men look like me,
that's right.
but they were huge parts of me moving forward. And I have to be honest, they were also they were huge in holding me up when I was falling, or helping me get back up after falling, you know. So yeah. So for me, I think the military did help me. I just see people as people, you know. And like I told you, since I started taking personal responsibility for everything that happens in my life, there's no boogeyman. So I don't have no, there's nothing, if things go bad, and this is a crazy example, but this is just how I look at life. Then I don't want to use that because I try, something that I try to do is I try to not use negative terms or use negative anything if I can help it. And I was about to say something negative, and I don't want to use that. So let me think of another analogy. Okay,
All
here's
I do,
something.
all I do, Brother Lewis, if I start out on the negative spectrum, my goal is always to turn a negative situation inside out, and now you have a positive. For example, I have
Mm-hmm.
envied two things about you. I told you this before, one of them, and I may not have told you the other. In a profitable way, not for destruction, but I've envied your relationship with your son. My son is now working with me as my IT person in my clinic.
Mm-hmm.
But for years, I had not bonded with him as I've seen you consistently bond with your son. I admire that. And then,
Thank you.
more important, secondly, I like the way you bonded with your mother. I didn't have that. I didn't grow up with a father. My mother and I were not close at all. No wonder by 22, I had almost been killed 4 times. When I
Mm-hmm.
was 15, a dude drew down on me with a sawed off double barrel shotgun, but God wouldn't let him pull the trigger, or I would be a goner. A year later, someone pulled a 38 on me and one of my homies as we were walking. He just walked away calmly. Man, I didn't want to die. I zigzagged like a gazelle, bro. And then about 2 years later, I rolled up on this young lady I was dating from Jamaica, and she pulled a knife on me, and I dared her to stab me. The girl could have killed me. She didn't kill me, but she pulled the butcher knife, and God kept her from stabbing me, or I would be a goner. And then the last time was when a truck, I was at Oakwood University, and I was horsing around with some friends and ran out a few feet in front of a truck traveling 60 miles an hour. I would have been blown to smithereens, but I'm still here, in the words of the Williams brothers. And so, a good mother, man, I wish I had met her. I feel like I knew her. I almost feel like you and I were separated at birth. You're just a better looking brother, but I can't do anything about that. And so I thought that about you, man.
Man, first of all, Doc, I have similar stories to everything you just said. Definitely the gun pulled on me, but the guy actually pulled the trigger. He thought it was unloaded. He was kind of playing with a gun, and he put it to my head and pulled the trigger, and it just didn't go off. He was even shocked when he realized there was bullets in it. It was 38, right? And I won't go over all of mine, but the other one that you made me think about, I was in the military. I was in the Army at this time, and we were down at I can't think of the name of the fort, but it's here in Louisiana.
Is it Fort Hood? No, that's not
No,
it.
it's not. Yeah,
I
it's
know the name
in
of it.
Leesville, I think. It's called
Leesville, that's right.
Fort Polk, I think it's called.
Fort Polk. Fort Polk.
Okay, yeah. So we were in Fort Polk. We was on these night. I was a tank gunner at the time. And we was on these night patrol maneuvers, and that meant we was in Blackout Drive, right? And matter of fact, I almost got killed twice that same weekend, right? One in Blackout Drive, that literally means what it said. It's like down in Leesville, Fort Polk. When it's dark down there, it's a different dark than here in the city. There are no street lights in the woods. So you see the stars in the sky, you really see it. You see the sky down there. You don't see it up here like you see it down there, right? So it's black dark. We're in Blackout Drive. And so all the tank lights are out except for these really small little red lights. And I don't know if we had infrared or something. It could have been infrared lights. But with the naked eye, they're not that good anyway. But you could still kind of see whatever these lights were. You could see them on the back of the tank as they passed. You couldn't see them on the front, but you could see them on the back. And what they did is they had us stand out on this trail and guide the tanks to a position wherever we was going. And the tanks are so loud, man. It's like, bro, I can't think of nothing that loud where we would still be talking around it, but it's so loud. Like you literally have to scream and you literally have to get face to face to hear each other. They were that loud if you're outside of the tank. So we got this convoy of tanks coming through and it's going down this black dark trail. We standing in the middle of nowhere. I think we may have had a flashlight and we supposed to be telling them which way to go. They were so loud, I couldn't even tell the distance that they were. So I was talking to one of my buddies. We was hollering at each other. They were so loud that maybe one had passed us or two had passed us. So those that passed were super loud in front of us. And then there were, 9 or 10 coming this way, super loud. I stepped out it was like a trail. We were supposed to stay on the sidelines. But just like you said, when you ran in front of the vehicle, I stepped out into the trail because I couldn't see the tanks, right? I was just like, I wonder, like, it was weird. I couldn't see them, but I could hear them. I'm like, they gotta be close. And the craziest thing, man, when I step out into the thing, when I turn around, the back of the tank feels like it's like 2 feet from me. Meaning, how did that tank not run over me is my question. So I must have stepped really, really close, but not close enough to even, because I didn't feel it. I didn't even know it. I was looking for it. But when I turned around, I could see the lights were right by me, like the back of this chair. Well, you can't see the chair behind me. There's a chair directly, but I'm sitting in a chair. But it was that close. I could literally touch it with my arm. It was that close. So I missed the tank. The tank missed killing me that time. Then the second time we were going in the tank, we had 2 turrets, one, I believe for the gunner, but then one for the loader. For some reason, I was in the loader's chair at this time. Now, a tank is 3-4 inches thick steel. And I had my head sticking out of the little turret like a turtle. You know how a turtle sticks his head out? So I'm down talking to somebody in the tank. I stick my head up to try to see again. We in blackout, try to see what's happening. I see nothing but blackness. So somebody said something. They asked me a question. And when I looked down, a tree limb hit me so hard in the head, it knocked me out. Mm. Meaning, what if I'd have had my head still sticking up when that tree limb hit? Just so happened I had stooped down and I was trying to hear what they were saying in the tank. And so it just grazed the top of my helmet and knocked me out on the floor, right? Would have snapped my neck like that, right? So anyway, okay, so Doc, now this is the funny part. We are approaching an hour already. We're 45 minutes in. So this is something that I really want to touch on, because you actually answered when you talked about the 5 particular times that something almost took you out. That was actually one of my questions, right? But these are 2 things I really want to get to, before we log out of here. And I'm just curious, because I'm pretty sure you told me this, but for me, I just want to know, like, what made you choose the path that you chosen? The whole path.
The whole path. When I was 15, looking back, Brother Lewis, I was suicidal at age 5 because my parents, at the time, I had no peace with my mother. And I
Hmm.
grew up attempting to commit suicide several times. It wasn't until I left my familiar surrounding, went to Michigan, that I began to see life through new lenses. My father was an entrepreneur. My
Okay.
father was married. My father was gainfully employed. My stepmother was gainfully employed. My father owned his house and owned an antique furniture store. He still worked for somebody else, but he also worked for himself.
Hmm.
So I wanted to be I wanted to be a productive citizen in society. So when I entered college, I first, as a freshman, wanted to become a dentist, but I didn't want to be confined to the mouth. My sophomore year at Oakwood University, or Oakwood College at the time, I wanted to be a physical therapist. But in my junior year, I had to make a decision. Do I want to be a chiropractic physician, medical physician, or osteopathic medical physician? It's kind of like an osteopath is a blend between a medical doctor and a chiropractor all in one. When I
Hmm.
chose chiropractic medicine, I wanted the word doctor in front of my name. I wanted to be a business owner to own my own practice. I didn't want to deal with the BS and the bureaucracy of hospitals where they own the doctors and tell them
Hmm.
what to do. I wanted to be my own business owner, and I waited my time. And so I've been in practice here 34 years. I plan to retire in 4 years and move to DC. I'm working on buying a publishing company. I'm working on developing a new company that I hope in 8 years that I can rub shoulders with you and Jay-Z and Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan.
Hey man, that's definitely possible in the United States. You
Yes.
know, let me tell you something, and I know you may not know nothing about what I'm talking about, but we're gonna touch on all of this in the future. While I'm talking to you, I got my laptop in front of me, and I got like 5 or 6 different screens rolling, and something where if I have to Google, I can Google. But one of the things I'm looking at while I'm talking to you is I'm trading. I'm doing what's called bot trading, right? Bot trading is basically trading with robots, right? And I've been in this trade 20 days and 1 hour, according to my chart. And I've made 101 transactions, 101 trades, buying and selling a particular cryptocurrency, right? And it's never missed, it's never been wrong, and it's made money from the time I started to trade. So that my point is this, right? I'm here on a what's the day? Monday, right? Monday, holiday, talking to you, doing something I enjoy doing. I love talking. I noticed I found that out about myself, right? Which is weird because I'm a recluse, right? I'm a recluse and I'm a very private person, but for some reason I like this, right? And I'll tell you about all that in private one day because it's so many different income streams comes from this and that you can make happen. But my point is to get to that billion, it's possible in this country. Now I never lived in another country. I don't know the economics of another country, so I can't speak on it. But I'm just saying, I'm literally making money while I'm talking to you. Once we get through, I'll go finish watching something on Netflix, but the robots will keep trading. They will trade. Let's see, this is day number 20. So this particular one will trade for 10 more days, nonstop, right? And then I'll be adding more robots in there. They'll be trading until I stop them. They won't stop at 30 days. This one will, but these other ones will just keep trading, right? So another thing that's going on while I'm talking to you, I have vehicles on Turo, right? I have vehicles that's being, ran through Lyft, So I'm just saying it is possible. I'm in the process of buying another townhouse. I'm just saying I'm a high school dropout, no business education whatsoever. Oh, and then you just said you've been in business 34 years, right?
Yes.
Which, according to my calculations, because I'm quick with the numbers, that means you started your company at 26, right?
Uh,
26, 27.
Something like that. Yes.
I started my first company at 27.
Yes, sir. I tell you, we must have been separated at birth.
Yep. I'm telling you, man. But I'm saying, okay, and look at the differences. I mean, you got the education, and and I can say I don't have education, but I must have something that lasts this long. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I can't just be an idiot and last this long. You know,
Yeah,
so
education is not limited to having one or plethora of degrees behind your name.
exactly.
Education is really accessing information and making it a part of you that you might build you and future generation. That's something that we must just not limit ourselves to, as I've seen you do with your son. We cannot limit ourselves to just me. We have
Hmm.
to think about future generations. The Bible says in Proverbs 13:22, a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children and to his children's children. We have to think about our posterity, future generations. Did you know, Brother Lewis, that often the more educated one becomes, the less wealth they procure? So in the book written in about 1996 called The Millionaire Next Door, if Lewis Brown is a millionaire, by the time your grandchildren reach adulthood, they usually will cease to be millionaires. Why? They go to college, accrue a lot of debt, they marry
Hmm.
someone with a lot of debt, they buy a home, that's a lot of debt, they get a lot of credit cards, a lot of debt. So most people are insolvent. That's why you mentioned that negative number. By what'd you say, by the year 2030,
I believe it's 2030. 2030. Yeah,
by 2030,
quick.
the net worth of the average person our color could be negative. In other words, they have more debts than they have assets.
Hmm.
Insolvent. They're insolvent.
That's and the thing about it, me and John Freeman, we were talking about this recently, is, and this is just my opinion. Like, I think that the reason why that's happening is because people are just trying to live, right? Because if you think about you and I, right, entrepreneurs, right, the reason why it's not necessarily a holiday for me is because every day is like this for me. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? This is you know what I'm saying? I mean, in other words, when I go to work, I choose to, and whatever I choose to do, I choose that. But there's nothing pending where I have to do nothing, right? But think about people who have to do something. Think about the people who I got to do this here, and then I know my boss or my supervisor don't like me. They trying to get rid of me. I don't know if I have a skill where I can move from here to here. Like somebody like you and I can move, you know, seamlessly from here to here. I could cease to do everything I'm doing right now today, and I would be willing to bet you money, cash money, within 6 months, I would be more profitable than I am right now
Hmm.
because I'd have more. I'd have more of a burning desire to, not only get back where I was, but never make sure I never get to that low point again. But I have enough knowledge in my head that I wouldn't have to say, well, man, I'm worried about if I can't get a job, because that would like literally be the last thing I would be thinking about. You know, I would be thinking of ways that I know to get money and how to build from there. But just think about the person or the family. I won't say their name for sure. And I just say I know somebody. I won't even say what capacity. But somebody owed me $140, right? And the day is what, maybe like the 29th, 30th. Let's see, it's the 30th.
30th.
They've been owing me this $140 since like the 5th of this month. And they were struggling to get me $140. And I didn't take that lightly because I was like, man, it's a lot of people in that situation. And
Exactly.
Freeman made me understand that, because I was to some degree arrogant at one point, and I made a statement like I was joking, and I said something like somebody needed $200, and I was like, can you believe they didn't have $200? And friend was like 200. He was like 100. And I was serious though. I was like, man, you can't tell me a grown person who works on a job doesn't have $100 that they could afford to lose and it wouldn't do damage. Friend was like, man, you don't understand. And I didn't. And it took me a while, maybe months, maybe a year to get it. Cause I really didn't. I had these blinders on and I'm just going in my world, in my lane, and I don't even see what's happening out there,
It's a real world, man. This is my testimony. I'm a board certified physician. I had gone through a divorce. 90% of doctors that go through a divorce have to file bankruptcy. Yes, I have filed bankruptcy. Ain't no shame in my game. When I learned that Donald Trump had filed bankruptcy nearly 15 times. And see, the average Black person looks at bankruptcy as bankruptcy. Those that are not of the same color that I am look at it as relief and protect their assets. So when I learned that phenom, I began to utilize the system for my benefit. Well, man, one time I was down on my luck, as it were. You came through, Brother Lewis. All I needed was money. I had 2 suites at the time. I was leasing them. And by the way, man, in 32 plus years, I paid out over $427,000 worth of lease payment. That could have gone toward ownership. But anyhow, God bless you to come to my rescue, and you paid the light bill for Suite D. I exchanged services with you for a given indefinite amount of time, but I know what it's like to sometime not only to not have a $20 bill, to not even have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it. I've been there, done that. And I'm glad that I can identify with the high and the low, because Paul says in the Bible, I am become all things to all men. Man, until we've experienced what some other people have experienced, we're out of touch with reality.
Yeah. That's why I see some people are angry because they say that exactly. That say they think other races don't care sometimes. And it may not be that they don't care. It may be that they were just ignorant like I was.
Exactly.
Right? I just thought, who would be grown and not have $100? Like, how could you not have $100? That's what I thought. But I hadn't experienced, and I'm like you. I remember a time where I was extremely down on my luck, and really, really down on my luck. But I think I still had $100. But that wasn't much, At that time, I think my house note was like $1,800 a month, and then I had 2 new cars. You know how we are. As a people, I was still trying to be flashy, but poor, and moved on the lake, across the street from the lake, actually. But you know what I'm saying? But, when you tell somebody I live on the lake, that's how you tell them I live on the lake. But, you really actually don't live on the lake. You live across the street, and then the lake is somebody else's backyard, right? I can see the lake from my house. That's kind of what that's how you look at it. But I'm just saying, I'm living this lifestyle of, I'm dressing a certain way, but extremely desert in the bank, dust in the bank. Matter of fact, I was so not in the bank, I wasn't even in the bank. I was keeping my money hid inside of a suit coat, and it was way in the back of my closet, and I didn't want my wife to find it because I didn't want her to know I had some money. So I would go, pull $20 here. I may have had $500-$600, something like that, But mind you, I had an $1,800 house note, and 2 new vehicles, I think I had just bought the Avalanche, and then I had this other car, Galant or something like that. But they were brand new.
Is that the one you sold me? That blue one?
I think it was. Was it
Man,
black?
You were.
No, not that one. Not that one. Okay. That was no. I had the black one. That was the blue one. That was my ex-wife's car.
I needed a car like a fish needed water, and we need one another. Dionne Warwick didn't pen the words, I believe, but back in the 60s, she sang the song, "What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing the world doesn't have enough of." Man, when, what's his name? Bill Withers sang in 1970, 71, lean on me when you're not
Mm-hmm.
strong. Man, we need each other. See, Brother Lewis, if life knocks me down on a Monday and you come back 30 days later and I'm still on the ground, that ain't on the person that sucker punched me. That's on me. I didn't say he
Exactly.
shot me. I didn't say he mowed me down in half while I'm paralyzed. I said he knocked me down. If I stay on the ground and waddle in my difficulty, oh dear me, oh this, and I play the victim, I'm going to get a victim's reward. And a victim's reward is low attainment. Look at,
Mm-hmm.
we may not think a lot about him, but look at what's the boxing promoter, Don King? Look at his,
Mm-hmm.
and look where life took him.
Yeah.
I can't say he became a billionaire. Maybe he became a multimillionaire. Hook or crook, he got where he was. And so if he can do it, you and I can do it.
Look, he's definitely doesn't care how much gas he is right now. That's for sure. You know, like you know how like how people are worried about that. You know, people that's a conversation now. And I'm not saying that I'm oblivious to it, but I didn't realize it either at one point. You know, and I guess you hear enough negativity enough, it starts to affect you. So people kept saying it, and I was just like, and I went to a gas station one day, and I was like, oh, $4.15. Oh, okay. I didn't know, because I just have other things going on. I'm not paying attention to that. Not saying nothing. I'm just saying I wasn't paying attention to it, you know. But look, Doc, we actually passed the hour mark. I think it's like a minute or two past. But what I want you to do is I want you to repeat what we started off with, giving your information for people who want to contact you, by phone, by email, by however you want it, social
Yeah.
media.
Yes, my clinic is North Market Chiropractic Clinic right here in Shreveport, Louisiana. My phone number is 318-222-6601. And my web address is www.thepeoples, that's plural, the People's Doctor, that's doctor with a K, thepeoplesdoctor.com. We're open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 12, 3 to 6, and on Friday, 9 to 12. Forgive me, 9 to 1 each of those days. And then we're open by appointment on Saturdays and Sundays. And it has to be a rare thing. Otherwise, we're open Monday through Friday.
When we do this again, there's something on your phone called, I believe it's like a do not disturb. I don't know. Like I just got a phone call and it threw everything off. But I'm pretty sure it recorded your information. That's why I wanted you to do it twice.
Yes.
But if you can hear me, I can't hear you, and I'll edit this however I need to edit it. But I want to thank you for coming on. And once I edit everything, I will send it to you and let you check it out. Because I'm not gonna upload. I'm gonna upload it to YouTube. It'll be on YouTube, but it's not gonna be sent out to the mass public right now. I got a plan for it. I'll tell you about it real soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, brother, for coming on.
Perfect.
And I'm going to go ahead and log out.
God
Have
bless
a good
you.
one. Tell
Take
your
care.
wife I said hi.
Okay,
Take
man.
care.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.